All right, welcome back to the Tool World Podcast. I'm your host, David Jones. I'm here with Master Jew.
How's it going there, Mr. Jew?
It's going pretty good. Hopefully this one's going to be a little shorter than last week's.
Okay.
For me, for my own editing purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's just make it long.
Thanks. Now, this week we're going to be covering, acceptable standards in sparring.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if we're going to look at like each rank because some people start sparring later. There's not like a set curriculum for it besides like step sparring, right? Technically, you probably should go through all the step sparring first, and then you start free sparring, theoretically. But some people have them starting at white belt.
Yep.
Some is like green belt, some is like yellow belt, some is blue belt, right?
Right.
But you have a couple questions on, you have different ranks here. And, I think the question comes up where like you have a green belt and they go in a tournament and they're sparring like a blue belt or a red belt. Or maybe you have a white belt, they're sparring a green belt. And obviously you try to match the ranks as closely as possible. You try to match the height, We did just have come back from our US Open in Las Vegas, which we co-hosted.
Right.
And yeah, we were kind of moving people around. And just to give the fairness for the students to match like height and size and things. But what can happen is that you have different ranks in that because of just happens, right? So you have a green belt versus red belt. There's a couple of different angles you can look at it. What if the green belt won? Oh, they beat the red belt. Ooh, I don't know if that's a really good look, right? At the same time, maybe the red belt's just starting out, right? So what's your thoughts on those kind of situations?
Yeah, so when we talk about sparring and competition, I think the first thing we gotta make sure is that they're safe, right? And so, yeah, in some ways, it's not fair to have like a red belt sparring a white belt because that red belt should probably would theoretically would have more experience.
Yeah, but I have seen some white belts that kind of dish it out a little bit. You know?
I mean, sparring in some ways is not. It is tactical.
It's tactical, but at the same time, there's also this level of personality in it,
right?
Of aggression,
absolutely.
of working, and at a high level, you're probably a little bit more tactical, footwork and kicks wise, right?
Right. I mean, you could have this go get 'em attitude.
Yeah.
As a low rank, that could work. Maybe it could work, but you get to a higher rank, that may not work as well.
Yeah.
And so, is there a particular standard? What is good and what's not good? When I look at like testings, I don't generally do sparring. Well, why? Well, so a lot of times what I see is you just see one kid beating up the other kid.
Okay.
It's like, what does that mean? Well, it's that kid just dominated him. Okay. Well, so how do you judge that? You can't judge it. You could, if you want to do competition, and you go, well, yeah, that guy just pummeled the other kid and he wins. That's it. And it could have been a white belt against a red belt because then maybe that red belt doesn't have that little the thing that makes him like really good at sparring. Yeah. So I think it's difficult to say what's acceptable in that way, right? And like you said, you could have a school that maybe they only start sparring at blue belt. I don't know. Maybe they decide to start when they're white belts. So the more you do anything, the better you get at it.
How do you feel if like a green belt beat a red belt or a white belt beat a red belt in sparring?
Good for him.
Good for him. Yeah.
I would say. No. I mean, that definitely is going to give that lower rank a big boost. And I'm going to say this, all right? We do not, like even in our in-house competition, I do not like black belts sparring with lower ranks, all right? Like color belts. Because I think when you think about like from an outside perspective, you just saw, oh, green belt just beat a black belt. Well, that black belt must not be too good.
Yeah.
It kind of destroys this image of who that black belt is. I mean, I kind of think that's partly true, but there's so many different factors why someone's a better sparrer than someone else. And maybe that black belt had an off day or whatever, right? And so I don't like it myself. But we do mix, even like at World Championships, we do mix fourth.
Or you can have first through fourth dons for adults at least.
Right.
You can mix it, yeah.
So you can mix it, and then, the first dan beats the fourth dan. It's like, whoa, oh, what's going on there, right?
Fourth down, just an old man.
Could be. Could be.
Old guy.
You know, that's true because, the fourth down could have been, he could be close to 35 or something. I don't know. But you would think they would have a lot of experience, right? And like we talked about earlier, we see that higher ranks or older students tend to be a little bit more technical, right? Tactical.
Yeah.
Versus just that all out. And then, maybe he's going against an 18-year-old first down that's all energized and just going ballistic. And that's also true with even like lower ranks against higher ranks. You have that.
Okay. So what do you find is an acceptable standard for sparring for black belts? So there is that level of like, you are a black belt, so you should be able to dish something out, right? You can't just be a passive patterns kind of person because martial art is a contact kind of sport.
Combat sport.
I'm not expecting, like a first one, you got to be world champion of sparring for everybody.
You can't have that.
No, you can't. It's definitely not possible.
Not possible.
But what happens if you get like a black belt that's not up to snuff on the sparring? That's also not a good image for the school. We've had times where you get some other students and they've come from, we've had it where he comes from another school. He likes what we're doing, but then when it comes to sparring, his friend is a black belt, but he's a lower rank because he came from another school.
Right.
But he can totally
Handle him.
destroy the other guy because of his skills and personality. And so, I always think there's some kind of thought towards that.
So let's be clear that when we're talking about sparring, it's really about competition sparring, right?
Well, you can just look at it in class too. They go, I can beat that guy up, Kids say that all the time.
Yeah, of course. But you really can't tell because they're not under real pressure.
Yeah.
And when you put them under real pressure, you'll go, oh yeah, that guy's a much better sparrer than that person. That's how they handle pressure, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think competition does that, testing does that. And then what is the definition of a certain rank, right? And so that's an opinion. Sometimes you have students that contribute in different ways. Taekwondo is not always about how many boards you can break.
No, it's not always about that. But I'm saying you can't let a black belt just get destroyed all the time because then what exactly does a black belt mean?
From the general public.
From a sparring point of view.
From a general public, I'm guessing that people have this idea about what a black belt should be able to do, right? I would definitely say that we would want a black belt on an average if they were to spar a that has no experience should be able to do pretty well. That's what you would hope, right? I don't know.
I guess my question is, what happens in that case that black belt can't do that?
Should you demote him?
I don't know. But you get some students that really just like patterns, and they do they come to class, they do patterns. Of course they spar, but it's not too good, right? So I guess that's my overall kind of question here. Obviously you can't demote them, and you can't stop helping them move forward. I guess
it's case by case.
Yeah.
You look at one student and you look at that person and go, well, is he good or not good? And you could say, nah, he's not too good.
Yeah.
And so is that a bad thing? Well, it just means that our job is to make him better. And so maybe he will never win the competition. Maybe never. But was he better? I would say, was he better?
Yeah.
Right? Is that acceptable for as a black belt? That's going to be a judgment call on what you think a black belt should be.
Right.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Everyone else will have a different opinion. But I say this all the time, our guys are not the best spar at Worlds.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about our school, but probably as a whole. And why is that? Well, I kind of think we have...
It's because we're not doing sparring
potential.
and testing.
That's right.
I'm just joking. Because we're not doing sparring and testing.
The last black belt test I had in spar.
I know you only did a black belt test. Maybe they get the kids doing it at Colorville, and you go, you get promoted. You rise up and you beat up the other kid, you get promoted automatically.
As long as you get hit and you don't cry, you're promoted.
Yeah. You stay in that ring, you're promoted.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
No, I'm just kidding, but just cracking a joke there.
We
do good at patterns, like
be.
our school does good at patterns.
Yeah. Right.
But anyways, okay, going back to what you were saying.
Why is it that there are certain areas that we'll just talk about our schools. Why is it that we're better at like patterns versus maybe sparring? And I think a lot of it has to do with that I'm very interested in technique, and I'm interested in that little detail work.
Yeah.
Sparring is not that.
Well, you could implement it. I mean,
But
if you get to the nitty gritty like details of the footwork,
tactical and stuff. Absolutely.
You have to find the right person for that as well, right?
You have to have the right people that are that really love it.
Yeah.
Because I find the people like on the East Coast, I think that's what they really like doing, and they don't like it. But a lot of our guys, if you ask them what do they prefer, sparring or patterns?
They all like patterns. Even the little kids.
Patterns.
I don't know.
Patterns,
That's true.
As a whole, not all. There are some that like it more.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think you just got to do more of it. I mean, we have in-house competition every month. Do everyone do it? No, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And it's difficult to get pushed when you're only dealing with the same group of people.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a lot of competition to go to, and I was just talking to someone recently, the problem with the United States is that it's so big and the schools are so far apart. I mean, if we want to go to a competition on the East Coast, it's an 8-hour flight.
Well, that's a long flight.
It's a long flight.
6 hours.
Well, 6 hours,
It's
even still
long.
a long time. It's not like you can just go over there and then come back. We had a tournament down in Vegas. Our guys could fly down there and do it and then fly back. You could do that.
Yeah.
That's not a big a deal.
Yeah.
Or you couldn't drive down there and drive back.
Yeah.
But you could stay one night and drive back. You could do that. That's not a problem either.
Right.
You'd be tired, but you could do it.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's one of the challenge I think we have in America is it's really big, and tournaments spread out all over the place. It's not possible to go to every one of them.
Yeah.
To be really good at something like sparring, I think you got to do more rounds. No matter how much you train, because you go to a tournament and you got someone that's much better, they're going to push you. That has to happen in the class as well. You can only be as good as your best student. If your best student is really good, then you could be pushed to that point. But he may not be that good relative to other schools.
Yeah.
He might be only average. And so our students can only be as good as our best student.
You're going to wrap it up there.
Yeah, I didn't answer your question, did
No,
I?
you kind of answered it this time.
Kinda.
Right? As always, don't forget to be safe,
Keep training.
and we'll see you guys next time.
Take one.